Welcome back to another episode of Black Law and Legal Lies, where we specialize in the legal lies.
Legalize.
My name is Afro Becky,
Becky.
and I'm joined by...
Bye. Dan. And on drugs.
Psychedelic drugs.
LSD.
Exactly.
My name is Dan, and I'm one of your hosts. You can keep up with me on both Twitter and IG at I am Dan on Drugs. You can also keep up with the show on all platforms at Black Law Podcast. And if you want to support the show, check out our shop at blacklawpodcast.com/shop to check out our merchandise.
Oh, yeah. And I'm just Dan, and you can follow me at I Tell Legal Lies on Twitter or anywhere else you care to follow me on, except don't follow me home.
Mm-mm.
That's stalking.
Mm-hmm. So what's today's topic, guys?
I can talk about my nuts again.
No, I think the feedback we got from our listeners was very clear.
Well, actually, today we are going to revisit a topic that we spoke about a year or so ago. Student athletes.
Oh, yeah.
And paying student athletes
for the use of their image
well,
and
actually,
likeness.
Period. Paying them, period. And we're bringing it back up because today, California passed a law.
Knows how to party.
And the governor actually signed it into law that is going to make it possible for student athletes to, one, get and have agents, to be paid for their likenesses, the use of their image, likeness, and name.
You know what this is going to do? I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh, Lord.
All these schools in the South, these powerhouse, the LSUs, the Alabamas, the Mississippi States.
What about all the ones that are members of the
NCAA?
All of them are members of the NCAA.
Mm-hmm. You could just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not what I was getting at, but thank you so much for jumping in.
No problem.
All these powerhouse schools in the South, the LSUs, the Alabamas, the Clemsons, the Mississippi States, even up north, the Ohio State University, y'all about to lose a lot of fucking recruits because, these top athletes that are being recruited out of high school, now they can get paid in California. California is about to have all the top talent going out there.
That is exactly why the NCAA is on the cusp, or they are positioned to sue. They're positioned to actually file suit against the state of California because
you can't pay our slaves.
They are basically saying that it is going to give any California school a leg up, undue influence, exactly what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I go anywhere else when I can go to California, get the same kind of coverage, and get paid? So,
damn straight. Shit. I mean, then y'all start paying y'all athletes.
Well,
exactly.
Here's the thing. As I was doing research for this story, I came across some indication that there were several states who were poised to do something like California, not exactly what California is doing. I think it's let's see. So it looks like New York. There is some senator from Brooklyn that's filed legislation that will allow not only New York went a step further. Not only would you be paid for your image, likeness, and name.
You get 2 white women.
No, you get 3.
See?
No, it would the law or the legislation that is being proposed in New York would also compel the colleges to pay 15% of the money earned from the ticket sales to the student athletes. Man, that shit ain't gonna happen.
Do it. I've been saying
That's
it.
not gonna happen. You know how much money that is?
A lot.
Because
But do you know how much money they generate?
Almost $19 billion. As I was reading, I was like, and I knew that college sports made a lot of money, even though let them tell it, they don't really make any money. But you pay the coaches millions of dollars.
And that was my argument on the episode. I think Nick Saban, he was up there.
Multi-million-dollar.
Like 10 plus million.
Les Miles, multi-million-dollar. So they pay the coaches millions of dollars. But I'm going to tell you where it's going to get slippery. This is where it's going to
That's what she said.
This is where it's going to get slippery. No, she said you need more lube. Anyway, you know, a lot of, if this happens, a lot of these colleges are going to fall into a Title IX crack.
Title IX, what's that?
Equal opportunity under the law. So here's where the problem is going to happen. You're going to pay these men. That means you're going to have to pay these women. And we know right now that the USA soccer team
is fighting the good fight for that.
To do that in professional sports.
Tell me about that.
Tell you about what?
About the women's soccer team. I don't know anything about that.
So the United States soccer team has sued the association to get equal pay for themselves. They are not paid what the men's soccer team is paid. So they generate more. They generate more money.
And they win more.
And they win more championships.
Have you ever tried to toad?
See, now here you go.
Have you ever tried to toad ayahuasca?
Anyway, so yet
because it changed my life.
They're paid pennies in comparison to the men's soccer team.
Let me ask you this question, because this is something that I hear you say often, right? Very often. When you started this job, you knew how much it paid, right? Is that not what you say?
I don't say that often.
I've heard it very often when people ask you for raises, because you are in charge of giving people raises. You knew what this job paid when you started.
Exactly right.
And I heard that multiple times.
I did. But here's the thing. I walked through the door because I wanted to play professionally. Okay. And this was my opportunity to do so. But I can affect more change internally than I can do on the outside. Well, they are doing it.
Are they?
Yes, they are.
Wait, I just heard they're fighting the good fight.
They are fighting.
They winning? Do they have somebody with their back up against the ropes?
They may well win.
They may well ain't winning though.
Well, we don't know yet.
Well,
because the
we
verdict,
don't know if you can enact change from the inside.
Yes, you can.
Everyone who says that, I've never once seen somebody enact change. Everyone,
you ever heard
police officers? I'm joining the force because I want to change.
And they've done that.
And then they go in there and they become part of the police culture and do all this other shit. And then you got politicians. I'm gonna get in politics and shout out to Eddie Risponi.
You know what?
No.
Phony Risponi. Anyway.
They say they're going to change politics from the inside. They get in there and they become a career politician and they don't enact any change because they can't.
Kind of sort of like your president.
The president, he's enacted all kinds of changes. Mm-hmm. We have new negotiating techniques with other foreign countries. Name a president that's done that. Shit.
Oh, wait. So name a president who wants to be a mob boss?
I mean, I'm sure Kennedy was, if I'm not mistaken. But okay, so these kids can get paid in California. It's being signed, or it is signed into.
It has been signed. It is a law. Okay. Now so I mentioned New York. South Carolina is also contemplating legislation on the exactly like California's as well. So it's causing a ripple effect. This is actually something that has been hotly debated since the NCAA actually started. Now, what I did not know, but found out through researching now, did y'all know that the NCAA was actually involved in an antitrust suit, and the court said that the NCAA was breaking antitrust laws?
So they're monopolizing college sports?
No, they conspired to keep the athletes not pay, so to speak, but they conspired to keep the remuneration
At a minimum.
under a certain level.
So they were involved in
An antitrust suit. And this actually was filed by a former UCLA athlete named Ed O'Banion in 2009.
Sounds like he's somebody that couldn't get into the league.
No, basically, but via his lawsuit, the courts, Ninth Circuit, federal court, said that yes, the NCAA was guilty of antitrust, violation of antitrust laws. But what's crazy is that decision was final 4 years ago. All right, so 2015, antitrust. So this is the way that the lawsuit shook out. The lower court said yes, they're guilty, and they should pay the athletes on top of the scholarships and whatever. They should pay them $5,000 as well, right?
$5,000 per year, per season.
Well, I don't know
one time.
that
the frequency.
Yeah, of the 5,000. But and the reason why we don't really know that is because on appeal, this is what happened. So that was the lower court. On appeal, the judge threw out the $5,000 because they said that it was arbitrary. It's like, why was it 5,000 as opposed to 10,000 or 1,000 or whatever?
I can get behind that.
So it was arbitrary, threw it out. But they did still say, and this was a federal court, still did say that they violated antitrust laws. So the solution for that
Real quick, before you go any further, let's explain to the listeners what antitrust laws are.
All right. So our economy, our market is based on competition. And so what antitrust laws seek to prevent is any company from falsely holding down competition. And that can be in the form of false low prices that makes it impossible for someone else to enter into the market.
So like Walmart versus a small business.
Yeah, but Walmart has never been like
Or
that.
like, what about like a power company or
but they
the
don't
internet
have,
company?
Oh, the internet
or
companies.
like AT&T. Because you
Mm-hmm.
remember
Oh, yeah,
well,
they got
Bell
split
South,
up.
right? And it's because they had a monopoly. That's another way to do it. If you're the only source
Provider, yeah.
of
Man, let me tell you something funny though. Okay, so back in the day, it was called U.S. Gas and Oil, I think it was.
oh, you know who else? Bill Gates. But he beat his though.
Yeah, he went up.
Bill Gates was
gangster.
like, F y'all, I got this.
He
Microsoft, that's me.
He put that. I actually remember this like it was yesterday. There used to be a Netscape Navigator. There used to be a whole bunch of other internet browsers.
That's right.
Windows did not come with an internet browser. So Bill Gates said, fuck it, we're going to put Internet Explorer at the time on. And all these companies came at his head. Netscape, There's a few others, and they're like, nah, bro, you come on, you can't do that. You can't give this shit away for free. Bill Gates went before the Senate. Whole bunch of people who don't know shit. It's funny still today in 2019. These senators, did you see the one where the dude picked up his phone and said, so you mean to tell me if I walk, he was talking to the head of the Android dude, right? The head of the Android, whatever. So he picks up his iPhone and says, you mean to tell me if I walk from here to over there, you're not tracking me? This phone's not tracking me. Dude said, that's an iPhone. I don't know what it does. Well, do you mean that it cannot track me? Like, y'all gonna have to find that clip. It was hilarious. It was like they're so out of touch with technology. But the gas company that the government forced to break up, it was like Exxon Mobil or something like that. And then it got broke into like Citgo and a whole bunch of other different gas companies. And
the same way they did to the Bell South.
Right.
Because Bell South got broken up into like 50 pieces. But you know,
at the end of the day,
AT&T,
they bought them all up.
That's correct.
Mhm.
AT&T was like, give me this.
Yep.
And give me this a little bit at a time. Give me this. Give me it all.
Bought it all back.
Mhm.
So it effectively never really happened.
Well, you know, I think somewhere down the line, somebody is going to be like, you know what? It's time to break them up again. Because, you know, now they own Time Warner.
Yeah, and they tried to stop it. I'm surprised that Trump tried to stop that.
Yes,
Out of
he
all
did.
people, Donald Trump
But
tried
you
to
know
stop
why
that.
he did that, though? Because he was pissed off at CNN. Because Time Warner is
CNN.
the parent company. So that's why he did it. Anybody who didn't know that, now you know. That's why he did it. But anyway, so yeah, basically anything that will stifle competition and being the sole source of something, the government says that stifles competition. Having falsely lowered prices, the government says. So what the government said the NCAA was guilty of was conspiring to keep the remuneration to student athletes low. So, and it's because the NCAA says that they're not about profit, they're about education. And that was one of their arguments, that they could not be subjected to antitrust because for them, it was not about profit, it was about education. But it's like, it's not about profit, but you make billions of dollars selling t-shirts and jerseys and hats and everything else.
They could be like blacklawpodcast.com/shop.
Exactly. We need this monopoly on these t-shirts. So, yeah. So, as I said, found that out. So, the O'Banion case is funny because even though that is out there, NCAA still is like doing its business as usual. And like I said, this is not a case that was back in 1919 and is off into obscurity. This is a 2015 case.
So what kind of punishment or damages or what did they have to do? What was their...
Basically what the court said was, now you can pay or you should pay athletes up to the cost of matriculating at a certain college. So of going to the college. So whereas maybe you provided the athlete a partial scholarship and this and that and the other, now you pay the full ride, books, everything, but they still are not paid for their image, their likeness, for the their name, and they're also not paid for their play. But that's where the California law would flip it. And the law, if it passes in New York, would go further. And South Carolina, they're trying to do exactly what California does. And surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, there's a whole lot of student athletes who are like, yeah. And something else that I didn't realize that I may or may not be changing my mind about this whole situation, because if
I
y'all
can tell
remember,
you if you're changing your mind or not.
if y'all recall, I said
Don't pay him.
because they get the value of an education. And if you're talking about a school like UCLA or USC or Harvard,
Georgetown.
or I mean, do you know what the value of that education is?
Nothing. And let me tell you why. I'd like to recall an episode we had with
the Harvard
athlete, and
the Harvard.
He was talking about how when he was in college, he couldn't take certain classes because it interfered with football. He actually had very little time to do any schoolwork because his life revolved around football.
Mm-hmm.
And he woke up in the morning, he had to do walkthroughs.
Right.
Middle of the day, you have to go study, and not study for school, study with playbooks and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
End of the day, we have to do football drills. He had no time to actually go to any of these classes. What is that worth if you don't have any time to actually get the education that you're supposed to be having, that's supposed to carry this value?
Right. Well, I can, like I said, I could be changing my mind. I'm not 100% yet.
And then he said colored medical professionals.
And to your point, there was an athlete who later on sued, I think it was Creighton University, if I'm not mistaken, because he graduated. He was on scholarship for football or basketball, I'm sorry. And by the time he graduated, he was only reading on a second grade level. Like they literally, and that's something that these schools do. They really, and I witnessed it myself at LSU. They will actually like give these student athletes schedules that look like elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Basically because they know that they do not have the time to study. They don't. So even though the NCAA says it's about education, there's a vast majority of these student athletes who graduate from college and they know absolutely nothing. They don't have a marketable skill set other than basketball or football or track or whatever. But having said that as well, everybody needs to be accountable for themselves.
Their own education.
Right. So
yeah.
if you know that you're not being educated in the way that you should be, maybe do something about that. Don't just say, okay, I'm going to go along with the flow because, but they do it because they know that that is their path to the NFL or the NBA or whatever. But I can say something else that it didn't surprise me, but just reading the statistics made me just go, yeah, that's messed up. These schools make billions of dollars. These coaches make millions of dollars. But about 20 to 30% of college athletes live on or below the poverty line. Because in spite of the fact that they are given all these things, one I know in particular, he's given a stipend, right? Scholarship, that pays for school. He's given a stipend, but out of that stipend, you have to pay for room. You have to pay for food. You have to pay for books. And then you have to live. And the bad part is you can't get a job because football or
That's your job.
basketball or baseball, that is your job. So after the stipend money runs out, how do you live? So I started thinking about that and I was like, if you're on a full ride scholarship, that would seem to me that They would pay for your room. They would pay for you to eat. They would pay for your books as well as the cost of you actually going to. But and when I found that out, I was like, now that's messed up.
So I let me ask you this: does the law in California specify which sports this is subject to?
No.
Because you have tennis and
No.
you
It doesn't. It's
Tennis don't get no money.
Well, that's
Yes,
what
they-
I'm saying.
well, Venus Williams gets money.
Is she a
Serena
college
gets money.
athlete?
If she, why tennis don't get money?
Tennis don't get money because I don't give them money.
Exactly, because you don't give them money.
But what I'm saying is, are all sports seen equally under this law?
And you see, yes, and yes, and that's where the trouble is going to be, because the people that can quantify their image and their name and their likeness are going to be the high dollar, heavily recruited people. What about the rest?
Fuck them.
See, and that's
No,
what about the
so,
rest?
All right. So what I heard you say earlier was in New York, at least 15% of ticket sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds fair for all sports. So tennis, all right, 15% of ticket sales. Volleyball, rugby, what flag football, whatever
Golf?
y'all niggas playing. Yeah, 50.
Field hockey?
So wait, so y'all made $1,000. Give
Y'all
me $50.
$150. Shit. I mean I think that's fair actually across the board, being that football and basketball generate the big bucks. So 15% of ticket sales. And this would actually, y'all ever been driving and on the middle ground, y'all got them little kids trying to buy jerseys and shit?
Yep.
And they're like, can you support our team? You're going to have college tennis athletes out there holding signs. Can you support our team and buy tickets to our games?
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Fuck tennis, man.
Really? See, and that's the thing that when I say,
Oh, wait. Shout out to John, too, from the Oversaturated podcast. He loves tennis.
but F it. No, see, that's what I'm saying. That's where the slippery slope comes in at. And that's where, okay, you say pay these college athletes, allow them to get agents, pay them for their likeness and their name and whatever. But like you said, as far as college sports are concerned, the high dollar sports, basketball, baseball, football. Something else that struck me about this one was that, and as far as the NCAA goes, they have a rule that you can't be represented by an agent and you can't profit for being an athlete. That's their rule. And if you do that, you can be ineligible. So where does that put college athletes in the state of California?
They're out of the NCAA, wouldn't they be? Wouldn't they be if they went to one of these schools as their student athletes and got paid and got an agent and all this stuff? Wouldn't the NCAA disqualify them as an eligible player?
They could. Now then, so this is where lawsuits happen, because how can you tell me that I'm ineligible, but I'm not breaking any laws?
Right. But you're breaking the rules.
Right. I'm breaking your rules, but the law says that I have the right to do this. So, like I said, you can see this is all.
There's still a lot of bugs that we worked out with this.
Lawsuits all over the place, man.
Okay,
Lawsuits happening.
You can't play both at the same time, but baseball still is the only sport that you can be currently enrolled in college as
and
a
play
student and play
right.
professional.
Yeah, I can see, but I was about to say, man, ain't no way you can play professional and be in college. College as well.
My other thought that comes to mind with the NCAA and their potential argument is that the revenue that these the games and these players generate is reinvested into other scholarships for other sports or academics. And what are they trying to argue that point?
They're actually, I don't know if the NCAA is doing that.
I
don't
know what they're doing, and this is true. What they're doing is they're taking the stance as far as, all right, so all the capital that comes in, right? All the ticket sales,
The profit.
merchandising.
yeah, merchandise, all that. They're doing like Becky's Bank did, and they are washing that shit and cooking the books, and then saying we are in
Broke.
the
We're broke.
red or black or whatever.
And that's like when we had that discussion, that's what they say. They said that we are broke. Most college programs at major and not major universities were broke, yet they're constantly renovating stadiums. They're constantly building new stadiums.
And they're raising tuition every year.
And they're constantly upping the money that they paid the coaches. Once again, I go back to that.
Man,
but
tuition is crazy too.
These days.
Even if you look going back, all right, so going back to about the 70s ish, you can get a college education, 4-year bachelor's degree for about $5,000.
Mhm.
80s, about $7 or $8,000. 90s, you're starting to look at
20.
10, 20 grand, right?
Mhm.
2019, you are looking at
100,000.
6 figures for
Yep.
a lot of these schools.
Mhm.
And that's just ridiculous.
Right. But here's the thing. The California law does not go into effect until 2023. So between now and 2023, be on the lookout for massive amounts of litigation. Be on the lookout for possible rejection of California schools by the NCAA or from the NCAA.
And sexual harassment. Man, Penn State, bro. Penn State.
Shut up. So, like I said, there's time, but I think I read something that said that the NCAA may be contemplating rule changes. Now,
What they're going to do is do a watered down version of whatever's being proposed, probably.
I don't know what those rule changes are going to be, but you know what, and it's because, like I said, I can see where you get into trouble because you only have a couple of star players on any given team, honestly. And those are going to be the ones that the Wheaties and the Nikes and something else to be aware of in the California law. If your university has an endorsement deal with one company, you would not be able to get an endorsement deal with an outside company. So
that's what happened to your boy Zion. You remember when he played for Duke, he had to wear Nikes.
Mm-hmm.
And them bitches broke and fell apart and all this other shit. At that point, if I'm his agent or if I'm
trying to go to Under Armour or
we
something.
doing something else. We ain't fucking with you, Nike. So then that's when they had that whole big promo thing like, yo, come to our factories. We're making you a very special.
Mm-hmm.
Why that nigga get special shoes?
Right. But see, and so that's the thing. So if your university has an Under Armour deal, you could not promote who's Under Armour's rival?
Nike, Adidas, all of them.
Right. So you couldn't promote that. So that's one thing about the law.
That's that bullshit they did in the Olympics too, though. You remember when them lightning lime green shoes came out and that's all you saw?
Yeah.
2012 Olympics, Nike contracted with the Olympic Association or whatever. Everybody had to wear Nike shoes. Even the people who had not trained in Nike, do not run in Nike, they had to wear correct. Nike shoes. That's fucked up.
And now, if you watch the Olympics, people cover up their labels. They have, on their shoes. They cover up the insignia.
Huh? With tape?
Anything they want. Some of them have special sleeves they put
You
over
know what?
their
That's
shoes.
smart though, because all right, you say that I can't promote
Anything
what I'm
other than
wearing.
that.
So, but I still need to wear this because, as Dan said, this is what I trained in.
Mm-hmm.
So, guess what? I'm not wearing Nike. I'm not promoting Under Armour. I'm not promoting Adidas, but I'm wearing Adidas, and then I'm putting a slipper sock over it or something.
Man, so I'm gonna end with this, right? I want to see college athletes get paid, and I've always wanted to see college athletes get paid, not only paid, but paid their worth, because they're going out here, much like these NFL players. These NFL players get paid millions and millions of dollars, right? To go out here, put their bodies on the line every week. The college players are playing the same exact game, same rules, same equipment.
Well, not the slightly different, but okay.
Same equipment, same probably a harder training regimen, especially once you have to throw actually going to class and school in there. So they should be paid what they're worth, and like $5,000. I wouldn't settle for that. I want to see these dudes get 6 figures, and then on top of that, some kind of clause, right? Like the all-star players, like insurance almost. If let's use Zion for instance. If when his shoes exploded, he broke his ankle and that affected his pro career, because we knew he was going number 1 overall. Everyone knew that. Yo, you need to come up out your pocket, Slim. If I can't play in a professional, there's been a lot of players like that, great players who have been injured
in
could
college.
never
and
look
never
at your
go
boy
pro.
Boogie right now. He, even though he ain't in college, that nigga ain't been the same since his Achilles, but yet he still has to go out there and play on a fucked up leg. Look at Teddy Bridgewater. He got a fake leg. Nigga got a fake leg.
He does not have a fake. Anyway, like I said, I am in contemplation of changing my view. What I honestly think, I don't say pay them, but
That's what the slave master said too.
no, I don't say, because you don't get a check. It's not a job for you, because this is a stepping stone to professional sports. So in that, I have
Is an internship not a job?
most interns don't get paid.
Shit, where the fuck have you been?
Where have you been?
In 2019,
Majority
of interns
there are
get
still
paid.
a lot of unpaid internships.
Very, very
lies.
very,
Where have you been?
Very.
That's a lie.
I had the
That's a
stat
lie.
up the other day.
That's a
like
lie.
I want to say more than 80% of internships are paid internships,
And it's
because
minimal.
There's rules
And
between
it's
a
extremely
paid internship and an unpaid.
there's
different
and it is
rules.
and the pay that they get is very minimal. Because believe me, and this is why
Man, interns be making 8 figures, man. What you talking about?
And it's because you have the benefit of my knowledge. That's just like going to law school. The one thing you wanted to do was go during the summer and like get in one of these law firms, and they did not pay you for that.
Yo,
and the reason?
Can we get an intern?
Yeah.
No, seriously, can we get an intern?
Yeah, we can. Very unpaid. You will be unpaid and you will work very hard.
Shit, because we unpaid.
Unpaid. No. So that's honestly the way that I think of it. It is an internship. You are learning the skills that you need in order to take your career to the next level.
You're
But
still benefiting from my labor.
And I said, but
Mm-hmm.
having said that, there is no way in hell that these students should not be able to eat every day. That there is no way that they should be living at or below the poverty level, not knowing where they're going to get money for gas, not knowing where their next meal is going to come from. And I understand, because at LSU, you can go to the athletic dining hall but that's maybe lunch. Maybe you get dinner, but you got to eat. Think about athletes. They burn so many calories. They're always hungry and they need things. You know, you need clothes. You need this, you need that. So make it so that they are comfortable in what they're doing.
And if they don't go pro, they have enough money saved up to pay whatever debt they've accrued during their time at school, whether it be using these high interest rate credit cards to pay for shit like the food and water. Niggas got to pay for water. Back in my day, we ain't had to pay for water. Water was free, damn it.
You stupid. But you know what? You say that. I was reading this article about this, and that was something that was thrown out, that they may not get the money right then, but when they graduated, they would get.
Yeah, I take that even.
You know, they would get the money or whatever.
I take that even. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think. Again, California, New York, South Carolina, they are actually trying to pay their slaves. And, you know, I mean, I guess that makes them part of the union.
Is everybody a slave? Because,
As
you know,
college
you work,
athletes,
you work every day. Are you
college
a slave?
I get paid to work.
They get paid to work too.
No, they don't.
Yeah, yes, they do.
Did you not hear what the NCAA said?
Did you not hear what's the scholarship? What's the value of a scholarship?
0.
Lies.
We've been over that.
No,
0.
no.
When you can't go to class and you get out and you read on a second grade level, nigga, your degree ain't worth the paper it's printed on.
Well, your degree might not be worth, but you are taking up the spot of somebody who would have paid how much money to go to that school.
If that school is putting out people that read at a second grade level, money? 0.
Well, you know, we had a show where we talked about this Harvard graduate who is now homeless on the street.
That's Dave Chappelle boy, ain't it? That nigga that should have killed himself?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Black Law and Legal Lies. I am Dan. You can follow me on Twitter and IG at I am Dan on drugs. Keep up with the show across the board, Black Law Podcast. And don't forget, check out our merchandise at blacklawpodcast.com/shop.
This is Afro Becky. Thanks for joining us tonight. Today, whenever you choose to listen to us.
Hi, gang. And this is Just Dan. And you can follow me on Twitter at I Tell Legal Lies.
Doesn't respond.
Yes, I do.
Well, that thread that we was talking about last week, talking about 7 points and
I respond.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I do.
No, you didn't.
I said I respond. I respond to shit that interests me.
Yeah. Hell with you.
Whatever.
Peace out.